Hello, I am getting a late start to the year. I had all these goals and ambitions for the year, and then I got the winter cold that it seemed like everybody had, and did a little traveling, and now I'm back here. I'm finally going to talk about my two main devices and also my two newest, which is the reMarkable Paper Pro and the Supernote Manta, also known as the A5X2. And what I'm going to focus on today is just highlighting the benefits that each of them have that explain why I have both. I don't think it justifies that I have both, but it might give some insight as to why I have both. And they each have their strengths and weaknesses. And if you watch e-ink tablet content, you know this is like the big frustration is that there is no one perfect e-ink tablet for those of us who have a perfect e-ink tablet in mind. I'm not going to do every single feature and every single pro and con. I'm just going to focus on the things that I think about and why I haven't sold one or the other, because it has a unique strength. First, you can just see side by side. This is the reMarkable Paper Pro, and I believe I do have the light up, with the light. Although I am in a lot of natural light right now, so it'll probably look about the same if I go to no light. Yeah, it's not really a difference. And then the Manta, which of course has no light. Let's start with the Supernote. Why I keep it, even though I've really enjoyed the reMarkable Paper Pro. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit here. Okay, with the Supernote, text recognition notes, which you have to establish as text recognition notes when you make them, because if you do that, then it is recognizing the text in the background all the time. And that means that when you do want to convert it to text, it is basically instant. You can see other people demonstrating that, but I've done it on other videos as well, but it is very fast and for me quite accurate. Next on the list here is that there are more pen size options, and let me just demonstrate that for a sec. So when I go to the reMarkable, you'll see there's basically 3 sizes for every pen. With the Supernote, you can, with the needlepoint pen, you can go from a 0.1 all the way to a 2.0. So I'll just show you, like, let's go to a 0.2. I don't know who would write in a 0.1, but I guess those people probably exist. So this is a 0.2. Let's call it a nib size. And I tend to kind of default to a 5 just for my own writing. That's probably a little thick for some people, but I like a broad nib, so there's a 0.5 nib size. And if you went up to a 1, it would be like this. And you can go all the way up to a 2.0 and everything between a 0.1 and a 2.0 on the needlepoint option pen. So that's something the reMarkable cannot do. And if you're one of those people that has trouble finding like the perfect Goldilocks pen size, it's nice to be able to get it really precisely where you want it. Okay, so text recognition is fast, more pen size options. The Manta, if you've been following the development of the Manta, this thing is so thin and light. It's hard to describe. When you take it out of the box, it's just, especially if you've been lugging this thing around, the Manta just feels so good. Really light, no strain, easy to carry around, so great. The other thing is, with the Supernote, and this, what I'm talking about with the Supernote applies to all the Supernotes, not just the Manta, although lightweight is a specific Manta thing compared to the A5X. With the Supernotes, you can use any EMR pen. So like this is a Kindle Scribe pen, and you can use the Supernotes ceramic nibs that are eternal. You never have to replace the nibs. I don't prefer those. I have one and I use it, but I don't prefer it. I like the kind of weird sticky feeling of the Scribe pen or a Books pen. So that's something you can't do with the reMarkable Paper Pro. One and only one pen works with it, and it is the expensive one that you can get from reMarkable. So, because it's a different, it's an active pen. This is just an EMR passive pen. Okay. Now, of course, like what really sets the Supernote apart is the options for notes organization. You can, let's see, I've got my scribe button to be the lasso. So let's look at this. Keywords, lasso anything. I can make that a keyword. It recognizes it. It converts it accurately. It says keywords. Yes, I can add that. Now it's a keyword in my notebook. Easy. Let's do headings. So same lasso tool. This is the one I use the most, far more than the keywords, headings. You can pick from different styles here. Let's go with this one. Now this is a heading. What does that mean? That means when I go to this notebook and just click on my little index here, oops, I pressed the wrong thing. Click on my index. There's the heading that I just made. And I've got other headings in this document. There's the heading. I tap on it. It's back to this page. That is so beautifully simple. And it just works like no other device. The books devices have different organization options, but to me, this is like the purest, simplest, most useful form of organization in a notebook, because it just allows you to create an index for literally any notebook, any journal, any project that you're working on. You can make an index. And just to show you with keywords, there's the keyword of keywords that I made on the same page. So that's there. And I can go to that page, which is the page we're on. Another one is the star system. So you can draw a star, and if you do it good enough, which I did, it converts it to this star. And again, if you go to the index, you can find wherever you put a star. So if you had something in your notebook where it's just like, I just want to come back to and remember this one page, but you don't want to stop and make a heading, you don't want to use keywords, you can use the star system, and then you can search for stars across your whole device. Again, just like simple, useful. And then the other thing is linking within across notes. So this is something right now the reMarkable can only dream about, but you can, again, with the same lasso tool, lasso, I don't know. Click the link icon, and then you have these options. You can link to a page in the current file, you can link to something in a recent file, other files, or even a web page. That's something you can't really use within the Supernote, but I believe if you make a web link and then export the PDF and click it from there, it will actually work. I don't really find a need for that, but so you have 3 linking styles available. Let's just look what sort of the dotted box looks like. Let's link to another page in the current file. Then it shows you all the pages in your notebook, and you can link to it. Then you just say, okay. Then it takes you back to where you made the link, and that's what it looks like. And then you can click on that, and it takes you right there. And then I can kind of hit this little guy down here to go back to the page that I was just on. So what's great about the Supernote is it's kind of like everything you want and need for note-taking and nothing you don't. The book system was just like a lot. It's more than I need. This has exactly the amount I need, and this is why I can't get away from Supernote. No matter how much I love the reMarkable, the Supernote just, it's super at notes, so it is appropriately named. With the Manta, with all the Supernote devices, but you really see it on the Manta, you get this crisp and responsive writing. The writing experience is fantastic. I really like the feel right too. You know, I'm not using the ceramic nib, so I'm not sensing the feel right too as much as I would when I use the ceramic nibs, but it's still, it just feels good. It's like just the right amount of sticky. I like it so much. And then here's one I don't hear people talking about that much, and maybe some people don't even know it exists, but the ability to use text recognition anywhere where a keyboard would pop up, where you would use a keyboard to type in a file name or anything like that, or if you're in a Word document on the device using the Word system, which I don't really use, so I'm not going to show that right now. You can use text recognition everywhere. So let's demonstrate. So let's say that I want to rename this file. So let's go here and let's rename the note, which I really want to anyway, because right now it's a conflict. It's a conflict note because I still have my A6X and sometimes I get a sync conflict. So we'll just delete that. Now see down here, some people might have it automatically set for the keyboard to come up. I have mine set. It's not intuitive. It's like click the globe and then you can write in text. So let's say I want to name this February 2025. Give it a second. It converts it right there perfectly. And that's just true, again, anywhere that would pop up. For example, if you do set up the email or calendar apps on here, which I have mine set up, I'm not going to go into my email online right now, but you can write an email by hand, or any kind of input that would cause the keyboard to pop up. You can make that handwriting, since the keyboard's a little fiddly to mess with. You can just make it handwriting and the recognition works really well. And I am dying for the Kindle Scribe, the reMarkable. I want all the devices to do this. You can kind of do it with the books devices, but again, to me, it just feels like there's too many things going on. There's too many steps involved. And I just find it so simple with the Supernotes. So again, there's a lot more you can do with a Supernote than just take notes. A lot of people use them to read PDFs. I don't find a need for that most of the time in my workflow. This is like my journal, my brain dumps, my planning, my little personal administrative meetings. And then I do sometimes just like go ahead and download my email and see if there's anything I can quickly respond to by hand. It's really useful. And actually, while I'm talking about the text recognition, let me show you how it works with the Kindle app, because this is all I want the Scribe to do, and it seems like it should do, but it does not do. Oh, I have this set to 2 columns, okay. This is not a Scribe, obviously. You can't do the sticky notes. You can't write on a book, but you can make comments the way you've always been able to make in Kindle books, make little notes, and the text recognition can come in here and make it so great. So you make a note. Now, because of the way I have it set, it didn't pop up with the keyboard, which that's probably what initially pops up. I have mine set to pop up to the handwriting, so I can say, wow, Great description. Give it a second. And it is converted. It's converted my note to text. And it is now saved. Let's close it. So now, just like with any Kindle device, the little thing that tells me I have a note there is there, and it's there. I just find this delightful, and why can't the Scribe do it? No reason other than Amazon being Amazon. So a couple other things I love and use all the time is the ability to add things to the quick access menu, and you can add a whole note or just one page from a note. And again, you know, reMarkable has its version of accessing recent files, but this is just so elegant. It just, if you are a note taker, you're a journaler, this is really all you want. So that's what I have. And because I've been using mostly the Kindle Scribe pen, I actually changed the pen loop. The Manta comes with a variety of pen loops and a little tiny screwdriver, so you can change the pen loop, which the pen loop is attached to the device itself, not to the folio. Some people don't like that. I like it. And I attached the smaller loop so that my skinny pen is in there. And there you go. That's the Supernote. I've been loving it. No plans to get rid of it. Okay, now let's talk about this bad boy. And it is a big bad boy. I've had this for a while now because I ordered it right when it released, and then I kept it past the 100 days, and I've been using it a lot. And I have to tell you, when I took this out of the box, and the first time I wrote on it, I hated it. I hated the writing feel. I texted my friend who's like a fellow device obsessive. I texted him and I was like, oh my God, like I hate the writing feel so much. Now I love it. It just took a few days of using it. I think why I had that reaction, the reMarkable Paper Pro is just so different. It's unlike any other devices in how the pen interacts with the page and how the page feels and how the ink comes up. The pen feels different. It's a whole new world here, and you can't really compare it to the other devices. And I was used to like the reMarkable 2 and my Supernotes and even the Kindle Scribe. There's kind of a uniform way all of those feel with subtle differences. And then there's the way like an Apple Pencil feels on an iPad. This is something totally different. And I can't describe it unless you just try it. The closest I can come to is just like, it kind of feels like chalk on slate. Chalk on slate, maybe that's the way to describe it. I don't know. I really like it. So writing experience is also great. It's so different from the Manta, but I love this as well. It just feels satisfying. It feels good. But it is funny that out of the box, I was so upset. Okay, so things about this device that make me keep it, even though now I have the Supernote Manta, which, as I've just said, is the best at organizing your notes. Let's talk about this one. What I love about this, you can email from the device with ease. I'm not going to demonstrate it right now because it's got a bunch of email addresses in there, but any note, you just tap on the, little share button down here. It gives you an option to email just the page. You can email the whole notebook, and then it remembers the last 5 addresses you used. It's one tap. It goes to your email. It arrives in your email as a PDF, unless you want to convert it to text and send as text in an email, which you can also do. But for me, that is just so great and so smooth and so fast. With the Supernote, it's a little more involved to get the note off the device and just like into your email. So big plus for me on that, because I'm always just making little notes to myself. And I use the desktop app. I trust the syncing. I use the app on my phone, but I also like to send a copy to my email just in case. And it's there in my email. Whereas with the Scribe, if you email your notes, it's a link. It sends it as a link, and then you've got 7 days to go download it because Amazon's keeping it in their system. I don't like that. So I just like, you can email it from the device. It's a PDF attachment in the email. It's there. You can sort of create your own little archive. A lot of times I'm writing notes to myself. I don't even open them, but I just send it, and then it's in my email, and I know if I want to refer to it, it's there no matter what's going on with the syncing of the device. So that's a huge one for me. Any notebook can do text conversion. With the Supernote, as I mentioned, you have to decide when you start a new notebook if you're going to be using text recognition or not. Because the background text recognition uses a fair amount of sort of background energy and battery and memory. And so I don't choose to do that with every single note I make on the Supernote. I really think like, am I doing prose that I want to convert, writing a chapter of a book, something like that? I'll try and think ahead and make it a text recognition note. With the reMarkable, you don't have to go through that decision-making process. Any notebook on here is going to have that capability, and it's not as fast, sometimes not as accurate for me, but it works, and it's always there. With the reMarkable Paper Pro, of course, I love the light. There's a lot of talk about the light. No, it's not that bright. When you're in natural sunlight, you kind of won't even notice it. But if I'm writing in my home office, which is dimly lit, it's enough. Like, it is enough. I don't need any more light than it gives, and it's not too bright and harsh. I think it's perfect. I don't have any complaints. I don't find that it particularly is hard on the battery. I mean, maybe it's just the way I use it. I don't know. No issues there. The size. Oh man, this is a big one for me. After being used to these kind of 10-inch tablets and smaller, having this extra space, it's more like a legal pad. It's not really as long as a legal pad, but that's what it feels like compared to the 10-inch ones. It's like the experience of writing on a legal pad versus a regular notebook. And for me, the biggest difference it makes is when I'm reading PDFs, because it makes it just that much bigger that I don't have to zoom in, and I don't always have to have my reading glasses. And what I was doing, if you remember from old videos when I had the reMarkable 2, if I was going to export a student paper or something to PDF, I had to change the font to like 16 point before I exported it so that it would be comfortably readable, because I don't like fiddling with Zoom. This one, the size is just great. It really makes a difference for me. Color. Listen, I didn't have color reMarkable on my bucket list when I was using the reMarkable 2, and there were certain improvements I was hoping for. But when they introduced it, I was like, hell yeah, because when I had the reMarkable 2, I all the time used the option to use the color markers and highlighter. Actually, I don't think the highlighters were color, but you could use color markers on reMarkable 2. Obviously, it didn't show up on the reMarkable 2 itself other than as grayscale, but when I would sync it and look at it from my computer, it would be clear. This is blue, this is red. I really liked editing documents that way. So when they introduced color, I was into it. I don't use it a ton. I mostly use it for highlighting and like little notes when I'm going back over notes later. But I love having the option. I really do. And I had the Books Note Air 3C, which was a device I dearly, dearly loved. And one thing I loved about it was the color. So I was kind of used to the way e-ink color is not super bright or saturated. So the, relative, I guess, pastelness of the colors didn't bother me. You do have to get used to, whoops, it kind of flashes. If you've watched demos, you can see to use color, it's different. It kind of flashes and then turns into the color. I don't use it nearly enough where like that would bother me. You notice it more if you're trying to write with the ink pen and you're like, say I want to write in blue. It just leaves this weird little trail as you're writing, then flashes, but you get used to it. And then it's just really nice to quickly glance at your notes and see what you put in color, which is like something to pay attention to. The keyboard folio. Okay. Interestingly, I had a keyboard folio with my reMarkable 2 for about 3 days. I hated it. It kept disconnecting itself. I constantly have to pop it off and reset it. I made a lot of typing errors on it. Whatever they did to the keyboard folio to go with the Paper Pro really kind of fixed it for me. I still would love to have the option to have a default font size. I don't even care about the font face, just the size. I just want it to be, I want the basic body text to be a little bit bigger. And if they would just give me that option, I would be so happy. But the keyboard folio, which I don't have out right now, because that's not what we're talking about. I'm just saying it exists. It works. I like it. It's very fast. With the Supernote, you can connect any Bluetooth keyboard and use it in the Word document side of the device. But it's kind of laggy. I don't feel a need for it. That's not what I use the Supernote for. But with the Paper Pro keyboard folio, I do find some use for it. And so that was another little/big splurge, and I'm really enjoying it. And, talking about this channel being stuff writers like, what I've found myself doing with the keyboard folio is using it a little bit like I used to use my free write when I had it. I just want to type some stuff in there. I don't want anything fancy. I don't need to format it. I'm just capturing ideas as fast as I can. And I use it for that. And then what I really like is how then you can annotate it with your pen as you're going. I'll do a dedicated video on that, but I find that useful in my workflow as a writer. Okay, and then there's like some integrations. Not a lot, but there's a couple little things. Like there's a Send to reMarkable plugin that you can add to Chrome. If you're reading a long article on a website and you just want to send it to your device to read, you can connect your reMarkable to the plugin and get that in your reMarkable. There's also Send to reMarkable from Word. So those are just like little things that you don't have to have. There's workarounds. You could export any web page to PDF and then put it on your reMarkable that way. Same with Word. But it's just a nice little touch that just eliminates some extra steps. The thing with the Supernote is to do anything other than taking really good notes or annotating PDFs, there's extra steps you have to do. And the reMarkable really has minimized extra steps, except for, of course, my biggest beef is this thing. If I want to make a new page, God, I hate this. You can't just swipe and turn the page. You have to do that extra tap. That was introduced many software generations ago. My original reMarkable 2, you didn't have to do that. But when they added infinite scroll, that became a requirement, and I hate it. And I also don't like infinite scroll, and I would like to be able to turn infinite scroll off and have it so that when I go like that, it just makes a new page without having to do that extra tap. Anyway, that reminds me of something else I wanted to say about the Supernote, which is Rada as a company takes on board user feedback and they talk about it. And if they agree, yeah, this is a good idea that would enhance usability and still fit within like our scope of what we think this device is for, they do it. They add it to their roadmap and they do it. reMarkable, on the other hand, they have their ideas about what you should be doing and what you should like and not like about devices. And every month I could send an email about that extra tap and they'll probably never change it. So that is annoying. People are conflicted about this one, the desktop app. I am a huge fan of the reMarkable desktop app and iOS app. I do have the Connect subscription. I feel like it's a good deal. It's like $36 a year because it's also essentially like getting Apple Care. Like it covers the device as well as making sure your documents can sync forever. Whereas if you don't have Connect, you can use the desktop app, but I think after 50 days, it stops syncing anything you haven't changed in 50 days. And as a writer, I'm often capturing ideas where it's like, I'm not going to revisit that idea for 6 months. I don't want it to go away. I want to always have a record of it. I mean, I do. This is why I do the thing where I email myself everything so it's in my email. But it's also nice to just know it's syncing, know the device is covered. I have no issue with Connect or the price of Connect, and I love the app. It just, everything is instantly a PDF. With the Supernote, if you want your notebook to be a PDF, you have to go through a step of exporting it into your export files, choosing PDF, then it's in your export folder and that will sync. Again, this is eliminating a lot of little steps that other devices make you do. So every notebook, once it is synced with a desktop app, it is a PDF. It just is, and that's all it is. And I like that. It's simple, it's fast, it works. Anytime you close, you have to close with the little X, the document you're working on. As soon as you close it, if it's online, it syncs. And I think it worked great. Shapes. This is brand new. Shapes. I didn't care about shapes. A lot of people really care about shapes, but now that I have them, it's just nice to have. I can make a circle. I can make a triangle. I can make a rectangle. I believe that it won't be long before Supernote also has shapes because they just introduced lines. I didn't demonstrate it, but they just introduced something that basically does like this, where you make a line, hold your pen down, it straightens it, and then you can move it, resize it. So the Supernote just introduced lines. I don't think shapes will be too far behind. But you know what would be nice? Since they have shapes and they have color, give us a fill option. The way it is, you just have to manually bubble it in. I mean, that's okay. They're probably not going to give us a fill option because then I understand. They don't want this toolbar to get out of control. And if you've ever used the books, you know that the toolbars are crazy. There's so many toolbars and versions of toolbars, and there's one over here and then sometimes one up here, and then you can make a little one, and then there's like the button with the menu. So they don't want to get crazy. Even the Supernote toolbar has a lot more than I use, but it doesn't bother me. So I get that they don't want to suddenly have a billion things over here. But, you know, if you're going to have shapes, fill would be nice. But I don't mind coloring in by hand. Anyway, shapes exist. I don't care that much, but that's a nice thing to have. I already mentioned this, no extra step to make notes into a PDF. There are things I didn't talk about because I don't use or I don't care about. And then I didn't talk about, you know, what they both have. They're both great devices. They both have proprietary apps that sync. They both have a screencast mirror function where you can cast the reMarkable to a computer screen, maybe it's on a projector, and write on it and have that show up. Supernote has a similar thing. They're just different. reMarkable does it through the desktop app. Supernote does it through like an IP address you have to type into your browser, and then your browser becomes the screen. So they both have that. Books has it. I don't know about the other devices. They both have ways to type into it. They both have options for connecting to other cloud services like Google Docs, Dropbox, OneNote. It's limited, both devices are limited in how much they can integrate with those things. For example, if you connect your Google Docs to the reMarkable, the only ones you'll be able to pull from your Google Docs and open are things that are already PDFs. That's it. You can't go wrong with either of these devices, in my opinion. It's a real luxury that I can't afford to have both, but I don't do drugs. I don't collect cars. I don't care about jewelry. I'm not trying to redo my kitchen every 2 years. This is my somewhat irrational addiction that I rationalize by the fact that I am a writer. I do use all this stuff. I think I'm going to do a video soon on Scrivener because I recently was organizing a book project that I'm working on, and I dropped a bunch of PDFs from my reMarkable and some notes from my Supernote into my Scrivener project file, and I can show you how I do that and how these things can all work together in the extremely large task of writing a book. I hope this nice long video made up for the fact that I haven't done one for the last 2 months. And let me know what questions you have. If you're trying to decide between these two devices, did I say anything that swayed you one way or the other? Do you need any clarification? Feel free to drop a question into the comments field. I'll try and throw some links into the description. You can also look at my playlists for other videos I've done on how I use the Supernote for journaling. And I think my conclusion is I'm keeping both of these. And honestly, part of that is there was a brief scare where the company that makes Supernote, Rata, posted to Reddit that the prices were going to go up because of tariffs. And though that got dialed back, it does occur to me that things like this may become more expensive in the coming years for reasons. And maybe I just want to hang on to all my electronics right now. And instead of doing the cycle of buying and selling, maybe I just want to hang on to things. Maybe I bought them under the most favorable conditions we're going to have for a while. So that's all I have. I hope this makes up for my long absence. And yeah, next video, let's talk about Scrivener. Let's get off the e-ink thing. Let's talk about Scrivener, which is a software app I've been using forever for writing and drafting and managing and organizing my book projects. And as I just mentioned, there's ways that I integrate these devices with that workflow. And Scrivener is a lot, and there's a big learning curve, and I just even barely myself scrape the surface of what I can do with it. But I'll talk about what I do, and you can take a look inside my process. Until next time, take care.